Okay. Please discuss your thoughts on organizational culture, what types of cultures you have experienced in the workplace, positive, negative, engaging, entertaining, and if you believe that leaders are able to shape culture. The Chapter 8 lecture and Zappos video should make a great place to begin this discussion. One person from each group will need to submit the YouTube link. Okay. Okay.
So we're talking about like culture in the workplace, right?
Yes.
Do we want to go through like the different tests was listed, Aaron? I don't have my book with me. Sorry.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me just get there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm on chapter 8, and I'm on the leader as a culture maker.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's not so much what we're talking about. A little bit, but
The kind of culture, are you talking about like the kind of culture? Is that what you're just thinking it's not?
well,
Yeah,
okay, so the prompt wants us to talk about what types of cultures we've personally experienced. So I mean, I can talk about that really quick. So like the mom I work for, she's actually from Mexico. And so like she's fluent in English and she's fluent in Spanish, and so she's teaching her kids both. So sometimes she talks to them in like both languages. Like she'll say the word in English and then she'll say it in Spanish. So like I'm learning more Spanish than I like did just from high school too. But like she always makes me feel like comfortable about it. Like I can talk in English. Like I don't have to worry about speaking in Spanish, even though like she's gonna do that. So like when Aviva asks for leche, I can respond, "Oh, you want milk," instead of like repeating the Spanish word. And like sometimes I have to read like little storybooks like in Spanish, and don't have like the like accent that you like one who natively speaks a language would. So I'm always like, oh my god, I'm being culturally insensitive. But she's like, no, honestly, like you're doing all I could ever ask. So that's my experience with different cultures.
Yeah, and the kind of culture that they're talking about, like the emerging, engaging, positive, negative, I think those were them. It's in terms of like the assumptions, values, and symbols that create and reflect the organization.
Oh yeah, what page are you on?
That was on page 255, where it said that little thingy. But I can't quite find the different types of culture in here. But I'll keep looking.
I didn't see those in the book either.
Yeah, I can't find them. But anyways, I guess out of assumption of what positive culture would be is I guess I would have that at my workplace since they like to like empower the employees and everything since it's like a sales-based workplace and like even though I think I mentioned like I'm just a receptionist there, but they still encourage me to like try and make like growth in the company or whatever, and so it's just kind of a positive culture that encourages each other to grow in.
Yeah.
So I've just actually pulled up the Zappos video. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Like where I work, but it's all females, but like we all have like different education levels, come from different like states, and like have different like family situations, and like different kinds of like relationship status and things like that. And I feel like my boss is really good at like making sure each of us is heard and that like everybody can feel comfortable like with work, even though we're all like super different individuals, even though we maybe don't look that different, like, you know, at face value. So same kind of thing that Elizabeth was saying, like just takes into account like our needs and our thoughts and things, which helps like every person from every different culture like feel included and engaged with the work we're doing.
That's like exactly kind of what like the CEO of Zappos was like talking about. Like his quote is that like his firm's core value is to create a fun and a little weirdness. So I think it's like because you can't like express creativity when you're afraid of being embarrassed or
Mm-hmm.
looked upon like you're crazy or silly or something. So um like they have events like where they like do like they're talking about the Bait and Blue events where employees get their heads, legs, and eyebrows shorn for charity by a group of their colleagues. So I guess that's shaven, is from that, which is funny. But I also wanted to comment, like he seems to me like of Asian descent, so like that's also a different cultural aspect too. Like what we read like the other day about like some of the countries in Asia being more high context and collectivist instead of individualistic, which is like what most Americans feel. I feel like so like that's also a balance, which like might be interesting to work in a workplace, like under the leadership of someone from a different culture like that. That's so like different
Mm-hmm.
than ours.
My Spanish teacher gave a really good example of this. Uh, she said she went to China for something for like an internship, and she said that her boss would say like, "Oh, it's getting like it's really warm in here today," and she'd be like, "Yeah, it is," and then like she kept saying that for the longest time, and my boss was like confused. She was like, "Okay, like I know it's warm in here. You said it like 20 times already." And then like the boss finally told her like, "Can you turn down the AC? I've said it's like warm in here a lot of times," which has to do with like the different cultures and like the high and low context that we have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good example.
Yeah, that's cool.
I had a student who moved from Ireland, and I was talking to her dad, and she was like, you know, kind of nervous and whatever, and her dad was telling me that like in Ireland, like when you go to the grocery store and you're checking out in America, they're like, oh, like, did you find everything you need? Did anybody help you out today? Like whatever, like typically they say like pleasantries and stuff, but in Ireland they're just like, okay, that'll be like $5, and then like, do you want a bag or not? And so he said she was having a really hard time because she was even more like direct and to the point, and she thought that was being more polite than like trying to make like small talk, like how Americans do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of interesting that it like made her nervous.
That's definitely interesting to me because I kind of like I've actually not traveled very much, which is disappointing. But like when I think about like Ireland, I feel like they'd all be like super nice and sweet and stuff like that. But that's so interesting.
Well,
Like not that they're not nice, but
yeah, like what was interesting was because like they thought that was being more polite because you weren't like wasting someone's time. than like trying to like make small talk about the weather. I think that's like disrespectful because you're probably like going somewhere in a hurry or whatever.
That's funny, honestly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which is interesting. What was the second part of the prompt about? Do you think a leader can create
leaders and are able to shape culture?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like leaders can definitely shape culture. I feel like I've had new managers come in all the time. It changes the culture to something completely different. Especially if it's like our main boss, they like implement a whole new system, and that can really change things up.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
I feel like if we're sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said I read something in the book that was like that I really liked. It said it was like leaders engage in like culture differences and look at that, but best leaders like actively implement culture differences and culture within like their organizations and all that, which I thought was like really cool. And I like that.
Right. Like if like I feel like diversity is such a like asset in a workplace just because like you bring so many different perspectives to like a project and like different viewpoints that like people of all the same culture may not have come up with. So it's like sort of plays a devil's advocate in a way. So it's important as that leader to engage and unite all the cultures in a way. Like they don't all have to be the same person. They don't have to have the same viewpoints or anything. But they have to be engaged enough to respect each other and like find maybe that like string attachment that they can all find a little common ground on, just so it feels like more connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think like going back to what we talked about in previous weeks, like things just like power sources and leadership, like style, all goes into creating the culture that the leadership has like ownership over all that stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep, awesome. See you next week, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.